Welkom. Play Papa Nami. Weza. Yo. There Nibanya de. Wolenyata. Say, let's see what's going on in the land. Please leave the wisdom of this world. Come out of her, my people. L.A.N.D. All right, let me share my screen with you. All right, this week today I'm not going to use, where's my screen share here? Getting some stuff. Where is my screen share? Oh, here it is. Share. Some. All right, excellent. Up and running. Let me switch my pin. All right, much better. Looking good. Peace out. So today's segment is simply titled It may be titled Orania. If that name doesn't mean anything to you, then you have come to the right place. I should say that Miata, our father, YOOO, had me had this news article come across my phone screen about a week ago, over a week ago. And I read it and was just like, And actually, Kafila, before that, I seen a YouTube video on this, which you will see just a bit of today. And then the Ola, most high willing. And as always, he's preparing me to be able to be knowledgeable and deliver to you the wisdom of what's going on. If I remember correctly, yes, so the Oki over at, forget his page, let me put his page out there. African Diaspora News Channel. He's got a whole website you can subscribe to. He does excellent work. And as you can see there, it says, that changed. It says, Malema says America is not a victim of misinformation, and eventually they will invade South Africa. So, you know what? Let me actually start with this video. Yeah, that's how I'll do it. And then I'll go to the article because I saw this video first. So I'll take you in the order that I went. I actually saw this one first, but I'm going to go to this one, read the article, and then bring you a little proof. We're not going to watch all 13 minutes, all right? But just to get you an understanding of the gravity of the situation. Love it.
Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself out.
And I am your host.
Today, search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Hello, African Diaspora News family. My name is Renilo Murema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News channel. I'm reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. EFF President Julius Malema gave a moving speech at the National Assembly. The National Assembly held an urgent debate on the United States government's decision to halt financial aid to South Africa. In his
All right, we are back. The technical difficulties continue. I definitely need to send an email to Zoom because they are collecting my money and this is ridiculous. So let me backtrack just a bit, and so we did be careful that we did not miss anything here.
phase, rights violation. Malema said that before America's military destroys a nation, they first spread rumors of human rights violation to justify their violent actions towards that nation. And South Africa is currently going through that first phase thanks to the AfriForum group spreading the propaganda. If you think about it, they've done it to Libya. Claimed that the citizens of Libya are oppressed. They mobilized the anti-Gaddafi forces represented by the National Transactional Council and their National Liberation Army, which claimed to be the only legitimate body representing the people of Libya and the Libyan state. They mobilized that group to claim that the people of Libya are being oppressed by Gaddafi, and therefore they are in need of an intervention. And what happened after the United States intervened in Libya? How's Libya looking today? They've done the same with Saddam Hussein. They claim that Iraq is producing weapons of mass destruction. They have to intervene to stop the world, to stop World War III from erupting. They killed him. Now, what happened to Iraq after Hussein was killed? After no weapons of mass destruction were recovered. Iraq faced instability, civil war, political turmoil, and an insurgency, ultimately leading to a complex post-conflict state with significant political and economic challenges, including sectarian tensions and ongoing reliance on oil revenues. Now, I'm starting to question if the United States lied to us about the motives of their interventions in these Muslim states. So you're telling me that the whole world stood by and watched as the United States destroys nations, all because it wanted access to the natural minerals and resources of those states and build a political landscape in those nations that suited the United States narratives. And we stood by and never questioned the true intentions of their interventions. No one dared to review the accusations laid by the United States against these nations. We just took their word for it over and over again, even when we knew how these United States interventions always ended. This is the one part of Julius Malema's speech that got me questioning everything I thought I knew. We have given America such a big ego that they think they can go around and dictate other countries' laws and policies. America found a loophole to this rainbow nation in order to weaken our democratic institution. He found a racist group that was tired of sharing power with black people, a racist group that reminisced about apartheid, mobilized them to plant enough conspiracy theorizing to a point where citizens don't know what to believe anymore, create distrust between the government and its people, cause chaos, and then voila, the infiltration of the United States in South Africa has begun. What happened to Iraq, Libya, Syria will also happen to South Africa. South Africa will want to negotiate for a peaceful resolution as always, which means agreeing to transfer power to the white minority of this country. So we will be pushed between a hard place and a rock. Get into a war with America, which seeks to avenge Israel, or give the white people 100% power and rule. This is what Julius Malema's speech was all about. This speech was warning us against that. He's literally prophesying that if we don't continue fighting against the Boers, that is what is going to happen to our state.
Before invading the nations, the US always fabricates human rights violation to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interest must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not demonstrating strength. The USA is merely displaying an advanced stage of capitalism, which is imperialism. Trump engages in transactional and manipulative relationships with the world like it is his backyard. The hostility towards South Africa does not come from fraudulent boers spreading disinformation, but from America's imperialist agenda. The USA, home of the world's most sophisticated intelligence agencies, agencies that fabricate evidence to justify the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, and orchestrated the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi, Patrice Lumumba, Martin Luther King Jr., and Malcolm X, cannot now claim to be victims of disinformation from a minor racist group based in Orania. The USA has openly embraced the golden age of imperialism, extending its power through threats and the prevention and termination of foreign aid. In response, our government foolishly seeks to explain our policies to a maniacal president, as if the USA were a victim of misinformation. The USA knows exactly what it's doing and why it is doing it. At a Golden Sachs event of the 27th of February 2025, South Africa President Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa stated, I quote, Trump got the wrong end of the stick of the country's land policies. I completely reject this notion. The USA, home of Elon Musk's platform, X platform, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Tesla, Starlink, and Silicon Valley, the global hub of data collection, cannot claim to be misinformed.
That was Julius Malema addressing the National Assembly.
Now, what Onkulu Julius is saying, peace be upon him, trying to get that graphic there,
cannot claim to be misinformed.
But it's got it somewhat. But Onkulu is saying, though, first, do you know the definition of imperialism? Because I want to brush up on it. It is the policy of extending a nation's power and influence, often through military force or economic dominance over other territories or countries. The latter is a lot more diabolical, essentially gentrification. But that is how apartheid works. That is how a minority is able to control a majority. This is what we've lived under since colonialism. How can all these big, strong, so-called black men, people, be subdued and subjugated to a lesser people? I just want to hear that theme in the message today at one point, but I digress so we make progress. Well, through economic dominance. That's what you have in every city when it comes to our people. Doesn't matter how upset you are, you don't have the power. And by power, I mean economic influence. You control the banks. He who controls the banks controls the people. That is the truth, because I can control the media and I had it. So let me show you what he's talking about, though. And it's amazing because last year when he was doing the, kill the boa, right? That chant. Let's see if I have that available. Now I can type. I should be able to type it in really quickly. No, I showed you all that here. See, look at that. Malema left Africa in tears, bold revolutionary speech. Here it is right here.
Comrades, we must never succumb to pressure of America. America has never helped us with anything, even during apartheid. They cannot threaten us now with sanctions. Everywhere else America goes, you must know they never go to help those people. They go to destabilize those countries. They did the same thing in Libya. They did the same thing in Iraq. They did the same thing in Afghanistan. Now they want to come to South Africa and destabilize it. We must unite against American imperialism and colonialism. We must not be intimidated by Elon Musk and everybody who stands with him. All those who are offered an opportunity to go to America because there is a genocide against them in South Africa, you are free to go. The borders are opened for racists to leave South Africa. We have no home for racists in South Africa. Our friends will never be United Kingdom. Our friends will never be France. Our friends will never be USA. They were never there for us during difficult times. It doesn't matter what Trump will do to us. We will die next to the Palestinian people. We will be buried next to the graves of the Palestinians. Comrades, our people are being killed in Sudan. Life is being lost. No one is saying anything because it's an African life. We must fight and always continue to raise the plight of the children and women of Sudan. We must no longer allow a situation where blacks kill other black people because they want riches of that country. Africans must unite everywhere and do not find it easy to kill one another during these difficult times. Our lives remain cheap, our dignity remains undermined, and we are still disrespected by white supremacists that insist that white people must be comfortable at the expense of black people. And when white people are not comfortable, then black people must be punished with sanctions and isolation. We must ask the ruling government, why do we not tell those who seek to sanction us for fighting for our land that it was Nelson Mandela's dream that South Africa should be equal? Why do we not remind the international community that loves Nelson Mandela so much that Nelson Mandela did not stand for reconciliation only, but he believed that the land and the wealth of South Africa must be shared. And for this, he started an armed struggle because the white apartheid regime did not listen to a peaceful means. Why does this government not tell the USA that when white racists refused equality, Nelson Mandela said they must just be confronted with arms, and that today we are better because we are confronting racists with legislation and the constitution to expropriate land without compensation. The approach of this government, which seeks to plead with imperialism, is cowardice, and we must never allow it. The USA is not interested in diplomacy. The USA is interested in dominance over us by any means necessary. And we must stand up and fight for ourselves because we represent a historical mission. And that mission is the return of the land. Whether Donald Trump's like it or not, we are going to fight for the return of the land in South Africa. Comrades, poverty of black people, employment in the eyes of the white supremacists from the crimes of apartheid, yet the reality of apartheid remains the same, because a white life in this country is worth more than black life.
There should be a clip here.
Kill the boer, kill the farmer. These were the words of South African Julius Malema as he addressed thousands at a political rally. Although this anti-white chant is decades old, Malema received international condemnation, including from none other than Elon Musk, himself a South African. But who is this man? Julius Malema and his party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, known for wearing their red berets, are a communist and militantly black nationalist party. Like many good communists, Malema enjoys wearing Breitling and Rolex watches, wearing Louis Vuitton, drinking champagne, and living in luxury mansions. Malema has openly called for the forced seizure of white farms and property, and has made thinly veiled threats of violence, saying, "We are not calling for the slaughter of white people, at least not for now." Despite this incitement and corruption, Malema and the EFF have support. They are the third largest party in South Africa. Malema has sympathisers in the West as well. In 2016 he received a hero's welcome at Oxford University, and many gave him a standing ovation once he finished his speech and talk. Kill the boer, kill the farmer. These are the words of South Africa.
White supremacist propaganda. Let me see if I can get it. Here we go.
Kichi, kichi, kichima. Simran Konto Alliance. Shoot to kill. Yamaza. Kill the poor. The farmer. Kill the poor. The farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. Attention. Kichi, kichi.
So that was the famous kill the boer, right? Now that you have kind of a full spectrum, well, not so full, because I'm about to complete it here, to give you the full spectrum. Let's see, this is what he's talking about. So I wasn't aware of this at the time. I'm just like, farmers in Africa, I wasn't aware of this place. Prepare to have your mind blown by this article. This is Orania. Support The Guardian. This is theguardian.com. Take a look at the header there. If you saw this image, would you think that this was in Africa? This image, would you think that this was even 2025? This looks like a screenshot from the My Girl movie back in the 70s. Was it the 80s? It looks like something out of the 1950s. Sandlot type stuff, right? It looks like Rosa Parks ain't too far away. This is South Africa for me. This is Orania. Vame. An indictment of South Africa. Whites only town Orania is booming. You heard that correctly. There is a whites only town in Africa in 2025. This is not AI, this is real. Orania. 25 years after apartheid, Black people cannot live and work in this small South African city. by Dennis Webster in Orania. October in Orania can be charming when the sun, you give myself a little bit more visibility, trying to do a better job of that. When the sun sets, long ribbons of burnt orange settle on the horizon. The flies and mosquitoes that come with the oppressive summer heat haven't arrived yet. See if I have, no, I don't have that option on this page. I was going to try to get rid of these ads. Bye-bye. All right, let's go. It is Magdalene Kleinhand's favorite time of the year. You can sit outside until late into the night, says the businesswoman, whose family spend much of their time outdoors. Her children fish from the banks of the Orange River whenever they choose. Kleinhand's leaves the house unlocked. It's a good life. It's a big privilege. But there is much more to this small northern Cape Town than the bucolic ideal painted by Kleinhand's, incredibly by Kleinhand's. Kleinhand's, okay? Kleinhand's is German. If you're familiar with colonization in Africa, then you understand, you know, the Germans, French, Spaniards, right? British. The Kleinhand's leaves the house unlocked, but there is much more to this small northern Cape Town than the bucolic painted by the Kleinhand's. Incredibly, 25 years after the fall of apartheid, Orania is a place for white people only. Kleinhand's runs one of Orania's biggest enterprises, a call center. This is a picture of her here. Let me move over just a bit so I can see. There we are. You up there. There you are. Runs one of Orania's biggest enterprises, a call center whose business is recruiting and retaining members for Solidariteit, a trade union primarily for Afrikaner. They call themselves Afrikaner, okay? Not Afrikaans, they're Afrikaner. That's to separate them from us. And AfriForum, a self-styled civil rights movement. AfriForum recently met with U.S. President Donald Trump's administration and Tucker Carlson of Fox. Now this is 2 years ago, right? October 19th. Sorry, this is actually 5 years ago. So just showing you how long this was going on, and we didn't even know. So this is 6 years ago. So Tucker Carlson on Fox News and Donald Trump is who they're dealing with. White supremacists, to say the least. Tell them the Afrikaners are facing widely discredited genocide. I mean, if that ain't the Karen community, I don't know what is. Both have made extensive investments in Orania's construction boom. So read between the lines, economic, well, this is the part of that imperialism that Uncle Lou Malema, peace be upon him, is warning us about. Economic dominance. So Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson are making donations, funding Orania, helping to fund Orania. Orania's claim the town is a cultural project, not a racial one. Only Afrikaners are allowed to live and work there to preserve Afrikaner culture, the argument goes. I mean, yeah, she just looks so trustworthy, don't she? I mean, there's no white supremacy there. The reality, however, is a disquieting and entirely white town, littered with old apartheid flags and monuments to the architects of segregation. Sound familiar? While there are no rules preventing Black people from visiting, those who live nearby fear they would be met with violence. Yeah, we call those sundown towns. The town has faced numerous calls for it to be broken up over the years with, keep that picture up there for a moment, with prominent author and advocate Timbaka, and Nkukatobi, arguing its existence violates South Africa's successful dismantling of racial segregation. Orania, he says, represents downright hostility to the idea of a single, united, non-racial country. Large-scale eviction. Orania was created. Now, here's where it gets interesting for me. Orania was created in 1991. I just love how long these agendas have been going on. A year after, I'm what? 8 years old? A year after Nelson Mandela's release from Robben Island, and 3 years before the country's first democratic election, set among lush pecan nut orchards in the otherwise arid Karoo. It was set up as an Afrikaner-only hamlet, not dissimilar from the ethnic Bantustans, its Prime Minister Hendrik Verwoerd, often dubbed the architect of apartheid. That's right. Look up that name. Actually, I'll do it for you. This is the architect of apartheid. Right? This is, I mean, he looks so nice and Christ-like, right? Harmless. There's a reason I say Christ-like, okay? Wait for it. Just wait for it. Like, all this coincides. Again, if you haven't seen Mess Part 1, I haven't put it out yet, but trust me, you want to go watch Part 1, you want to see the land and Part 1 to bring you here. Part 1 of the Land, the news segment, was about the sodomy that's going on in where else? Cape Town. Okay. Start at the top and work your way down. I meant that, not the other way around. Africa, but I digress. We made progress. All that's in Part 1. And there you go. These are the monuments they're talking about. You're looking at this little statue. They don't even have this little guy up there. There he is. Okay, you can see him right there. Let's click and see what we got. That's the Orania symbol. And there's a reason, you're going to see a lot of this today, that the sun is in the backdrop there. But let me see if we can show it. Yep, there it is. It says, spokesperson of the Orania Buwejing rests his hand on the town's mascot, the Klein Roo, the little giant is what it's called, that symbolizes the Orania's belief in self-reliance. Now, does this, they claim this is a young boy rolling up his sleeve to get to work. Does that look like a young boy rolling up his sleeve to get to work with some bricks to build a house, or to get to work with some bricks to take down a house? I digress. We made progress. And then you got this photo here of Mr. Verwoerd, the of apartheid. Unbelievable. This is Africa, y'all. I told you, prepare to have your mind blown. I told you. All right. By the end of the 1980s, the probability of losing control had already occurred to many Afrikaners. Remember, they constantly think like this. Okay, that's part of why they stay 10 steps ahead of our people. But they're constantly in fear of the day that we take back what they stole. The probability of losing control had already occurred to many Afrikaners, with some believing that impending democracy posed an existential threat to the white Afrikaans' way of life. A few felt protecting that required becoming a demographic majority somewhere, rather than remaining a minority everywhere. Maybe we should take some of that strategy, no? So a small group of Afrikaners, Verwoerd's daughter and son-in-law, so the goddess and goddesses, Karel Boshoff, among them, purchased a strip of land in the southern banks of the Orange River and went about setting up a Volksstaat, or independent homeland, where Afrikaners would decide their own affairs. Orania's founders did not settle on virgin territory, but on the remains of a half-released 1960s project to build canals and dams along the Orange River. A community of 500 poor Black and mixed race squatters, pay close attention, Selah, who had made their homes in the buildings. Now, they show the word squatters, but isn't it interesting? Mixed race. As we are closing Hope Chocho, all about the commemorating the Exodus. Our people, and I'll touch on this in today's message, but our people have been in a perpetual state of Exodus from it. Us and the mixed multitude, who had made their homes in the buildings left behind by the project, stood between the new owners, that's the white folks, versus the Black folks, the Afrikaners versus the Afrikaans, and their whites-only vision. Speaking to the community after the purchase, Boshoff reportedly said he did not buy a business with passengers. And that ain't the most white supremacist comment I've ever heard. What followed, according to Cambridge historian Edward Cavan's history of land rights on the Orange River, was one of the last large-scale evictions under apartheid. It was carried out by the future residents of Orania with the assistance of beatings, pistol whippings, and dogs. Sound familiar for me? In our house, on this is how Orania was won. Let me grab a preset so I don't forget it. I'm about to forget it if I don't. Just type it in here. Was it YOOO? Yep, that's it. Let's go Habakkuk. Kafla 2:12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establishes a city by iniquity. This is how they've done everything. And this is why when we are asking for reparations, asking now, still asking, we don't just say for what you've done, which is owed to us, but also what you continue to do. Say you love us, Christ this, Christ that, Jesus, Jesus, missionary this, missionary that, and then you have this. But I digress so we may progress. Your prophetic news source. The population has doubled. After 3 decades, as a quiet backwater, Orania is booming. Its population, currently around 1,700, has doubled over the last 7 years. The most recent census estimates growth of more than 10% a year, outstripping most comparable rural towns and more, proportionally than South Africa's biggest cities. Population growth means a flourishing housing market and construction industry. Neat suburban homes have been joined by new apartment blocks and walk-ups, which sell for as much as 1.5 million rands. That's 80,000 British pounds, you all. That's talking about $100,000 US dollars. Putting them on par with comparable homes in Johannesburg, there is an industrial zone of brick and aluminum factories which sell their products around South Africa. China buys most of the pecan nuts. It's flying right over our heads, huh? The growth shows no signs of slowing. A sewage works meant to accommodate 10,000 future residents is in the pipeline. There are designs to transform the town's humble technical training facility, where many of the skills driving the town's new construction were taught, into a university. Not a single brick has been laid by a Black worker. In a reverse of the usual situation in South Africa, allowing all low-paying work in Orania, from keeping the town's gardens to packing the shelves in its grocery stores. Keeping the gardens is where BOA, the term BOA, came from. You'll hear this in today's message, but for you who maybe just see this, BOA is a term for keeping or dressing, right? The land. So it goes back to actually Eden, which we call Bome. But you'll get that if you tune into the message. So that's what we call them Boas. From keeping the town's gardens to packing the shelves in its grocery stores is performed by hard-up white Afrikaners. So they already got classicism going on there. And that would be your Italians, right? Claiming to be oppressed like we are. No, you're in the kingdom. But they don't understand when we say, oh, you'll be in the kingdom too, but you'll be our servants. They can't, that doesn't make any sense to them. But look how they behave. I digress so we may progress. It is performed by hard-up white Afrikaners. It is increasing numbers of poor laborers whose tendency is often less secure. So capitalism is in full swing. And who either rent or rely on subsidies from Orania's cooperative bank. What did I say? I said whoever controls the banks controls the people, who are largely behind the town's growing population. And if you got Uncle Elon on your side, I mean, your bank is deep. Orania is owned by the Vlujetskral Andelo Block. I can't even pronounce that, to be honest with you. It's German. Company which, together with a series of internally elected bodies, is responsible for the town's municipal decision-making. I'll do this live because I didn't get a chance to do this. I'm just going to do a quick search on this. It shows Orania, but it doesn't really, see the Wikipedia. Yeah, it just brings up a lot of stuff on Orania. Let's continue. People who want to live in Orania buy shares in the, I'm gonna call them the Vlu clan. The Vlu clan. Instead of freehold, the screening of prospective shareholders allows for tight control. Buyers undergo extensive vetting, central to which is their fidelity to Afrikaans language and culture. A commitment to employing only white Afrikaners and a string of conservative Christian, Christian, I told you, I said Christ-like for a reason. Undertakings. I don't know if it's gonna, I can't remember if it says it here, but their religion or their code is Christianity. Part one puts a nail in the coffin for that. You want full understanding on why we scoff at Christianity now. Part one will give you that understanding. Conservative, so if you see Christianity, if you see the cross, you don't know already, you already know what they're about to do. Undertakings, unmarried couples, for instance, cannot live together. The town exists at the mercy of the South African Constitution in the early 2000s. A planned remapping of boundaries that would have brought Orania under the control of the democratically elected municipality appeared to spell the end, but the town successfully appealed to the High Court using the constitutional rights of the country's minority cultural groups. See how does that sound familiar? Over here, what? Mostly white women apply for the money from minority that's set aside for minorities, right? Pursued and harassed. Here we go. Karens. They should have labeled this session. A quarter of a century after the end of apartheid, Black people are restricted to using the filling station. Are restricted to only using the filling station. They don't want you. They just want your money. On the edge of Orania, Benjamin Kumalo is one of them. The 55-year-old and his wife, who have lived on a small nearby plot since the 1980s, were once pursued and harassed. Oh, you thought that the Iranians, you thought that the Iranians were the pursued and harassed. Oh, no. They're actually pursuing and harassing Africans in Africa. I guess we made progress. By a pickup truck. This is Africa, covered with Orania stickers when walking home after an evening with friends. Now you must run, he urged his wife, pushing her through a fence. I'll be behind you. Kumalo still remembers when Orania was a home for Black families. That's right, gentrification. Now they just messed up. Well, they didn't mess up because they just, if you can feel in between the lines, it was a construction site that was being occupied by us, right? Squatters is what they call us, that they threw out. But what they just revealed is before it was a construction site, it was a Black community. Does that sound familiar? The guns carried on the hips of many Oranians, however, have been enough to convince him never to enter the town again. They will hurt you, he says. There is nothing we can do. Unsurprisingly, but hey, the nicest, when I show you the next video, okay? Remember Uncle Lou's words. So unsurprisingly, Orania's white residents have a different take. Of course they do. Fuck. Hurt you. I just want to raise my children. I'm so scared. The town's doctor, Philip Nottingale, describes South a language. I don't send you to a nation of a language that's hard for you to speak. That's the prophecy says. Describes South African cities as war zones. Now, do you see how I built this house for you? This is what they do. Propaganda is the first step. This is how they keep you out, keep us from going home. Oh, this is a war zone, but y'all got a whole busy over there. So let me get this straight. While Black folks are scared to go home, war, they got a whole community being built. Huh. When are you gonna figure it out? Turn off your TV. I digress so we can progress. He lived in the country's administrative capital, Pretoria, before he moved to Orania. The 10 months since have been the best of his life, he says. It's the first time in history that a country has been established without a war. Now, is that true for me? You do realize that war is fighting. One man fighting another, just one-on-one, that's war. So when they put us, or those, our brothers and sisters out, site, that was established by war. But he's speaking smooth words. He's extended his hand, but war was in his heart. That's prophecies. The first time in history, though, but I'm white and I say so. So they make up their own history. Has been established without a war, he adds. Sporting a Lincoln-esque beard after he dressed up as Paul Kruger during the recent celebrations of the Boer hero. It's like Boer white Afrikaners Disneyland, except you never have to go home. Sound like the kingdom of heaven to me. They have established the kingdom of heaven in Africa. Check that out. So you got Israel on top and Israel on bottom. The specter of Verwoerd and architect of apartheid is difficult to escape. His portrait and bust seem to be around every corner. His wife, Betsy, is buried in the town, and her old home is being converted into a Verwoerd museum. His grandson, Karel Boshoff Jr., is a former leader of the Orania movement, which first proposed the idea of Orania in the 1980s. Boshoff Jr. is perhaps one of the more unlikely fans of the pianist Abdullah Ibrahim, whose music plays on a laptop in his office. Like his parents and grandparents, Boshoff fears white Afrikaners face a real threat of being wiped out, either through violence or what he calls amalgamation. He believes the recent expansion of Orania is just the start. We are something like the phoenix in the ashes, he says. That's esoteric Illuminati talk, by the way. That is Freemason talk, the phoenix, okay? The questions to which Orania, and I'm going to give you a precept in a moment to that, so you have understanding. The question to which Orania is the answer are so, and that's going to be the big tie-in for you here at the end. I'll say that for the end. The question is to which Orania is the answer are so fundamental to the structure of South African society that you can't express and affirm your Afrikaner identity without coming to the conclusion of a bigger Orania. Offended by Orania. Orania has continued largely uncontested since its victorious appeal to the High Court in the early 2000s. The ANC government does not appear to be considering an appeal of the High Court decision. Zamani Saul, head of the ANC-run Northern Cape government, has said an inquiry into Orania's legal status is yet to be concluded. For Nku Katobi, the author of Orania, represents the reversal of the constitutional project of national building. The rights that underpinned the town's high court challenge against the remapping are not unlimited. He says anyone who cares about South Africa will rightly be offended by the Orania represents, what Orania represents, which is Orania. Coop's Corner. This he does excellent video.
Orania is a white-only town.
I'll let you hear that. Let me let you hear this entry, and then we'll get to the point.
In South Africa's Northern Cape province, founded in 1991. It's an enclave that's often associated with apartheid, established by Afrikaners to create a safe haven for their culture and language. The town's founders evicted a community of poor black and mixed-race squatters. Orania is home to monuments to the architects of segregation. This town has bronze busts of Afrikaner leaders including Paul Kruger, J.B.M. Hertzog, D.F. Milan, J.G. Stridham, and Hendrik Verwoerd. Orania is located along the Orange River in the Karoo region of the Northern Cape province. They print their own money, like coupons, that can be used in its stores. The people want to keep the Afrikaner culture alive in South Africa and say it's under attack by the current regime. The Afrikaner language is no longer being taught in schools due to the apartheid history in the country. Mr. Jackson Cooper will investigate this all-white town from a Black American's perspective to see if the people are looking to just keep their heritage alive or to revive the apartheid era in South Africa. Coop's Corner investigates Orania, South Africa.
Shout out to Brother Coop. Now, look how nice I know, unbelievable. I know you're still trying to wrap your head around that. I know. This happened at the end of Vuki's trip. Everything went well. He had his moments. But this happened at the end. And I said, the alarm went off for me. Let me see if I can show you the alarm. Let me show you the two moments of alarm. Let's see if I can find them. I remember them. I have the pictures in my head. Here's one right here. He's being led around by the descendants. That's not the descendant. That's another guy. Descendant was the other guy, the white shirt. Or is it? Hold on, who's that? Start right there. Let's see.
Generations. Also, we have a strong history of, you know, in our war against the British, which was one of our defining moments. One of the heroes of the Boer people did reconnaissance on a bicycle, Donnie Tron. So he was a legendary fighter, and he worked with a bicycle in 1901. 1899 to 1901 was that war.
I'm seeing more golfs here than I'm seeing in colored communities. This is crazy. Yeah.
So that helped people to
So when it comes to like gun ownership, how does that work here in Orania?
We are very pro legal gun ownership.
Mm.
Our culture is a culture that's been full of the ownership of guns and being vigilant about your safety since as long as we existed.
How you doing? Good, good. So what are you guys doing today?
We are labeling going to put some for the water labeling of this
Wat is die woord in Afrikaans?
ja, kyk hierdie ding, die randstene sit ons aan, sit ons hierdie vesel vas. Hierdie ding skei water, jy weet. Geen water kom deur hom en daar binne.
Dis 'n maangat, dis 'n fiber optic metal.
Do they speak English?
Yeah.
So how long have you guys lived here in Orania?
And the
Yeah.
A year?
8 years.
8 years? How do you like it here?
Very nice.
Very nice. All right, well, thank you guys. I don't want to disturb you. Thank you. So this is the dorm.
That actually, I saw that moment wrong. So they were working, so they weren't really answering because they were working. But I saw that differently the first time. So that one, I'm throwing that away. That was a decent interaction. Here's the second thing that set off an alarm for me, though, right here. Let me show you. Yeah, that was different than what I remembered. I didn't see the guy holding that thing. Let's see. It's just a second. He has breakfast in the morning there. Yeah, he's walking from his breakfast. Let me see here.
All right, so that was a guy just playing the accordion right there. Hey, man, I'm out here. Listen, this is crazy what's going on right now. But we are going to go up to this. I saw a black gentleman. I see actually a couple of them. So let me see.
Remember from the article, they got one gas station that they allow black folks to use.
See if we can speak to them. How's it going, sir? How you doing? So you mind if I ask you a couple questions, man? I'm actually here. Okay, guys, so this gentleman said that I asked him. And he said that he didn't have the time, but he was literally just sitting on the ground not doing anything. So
that was my red flag. Right there, that's my red flag of the community. I didn't even know that article when I'm watching this. When I saw that, I'm like, why are people we can't even rely on each other. But you know, I digress. But right there, I said, okay, something's wrong. Why is he acting so scary? So here's the moment that proved my fears.
this is the nature out here in Orania. Look at that duck. Oh, that duck ain't playing, boy. Hold up, bro. That duck turned around like, you better get away from me. I'm not gonna do
ducks.
To you, duck. I'm not gonna do nothing to you, buddy. Ducks are
I think
pretty
the ducks
animals.
was trying to tell you something.
Ooh, that one is stretching. Ooh, that duck is stretching, boy. That's crazy.
I was stopped by this man while walking. I said, there it is. Don't that look like something you would experience in Belgium? It doesn't matter where you are. He was adamant. I called Mr. Juice, that was his his connect, to confirm my reason for being there. Even in Africa, you need paperwork. On your own land, let me get this straight. You, white man, are in Africa asking a black man to confirm his reason for being there. She just said, why don't you just go home? You got all of Europe, you got all of America, just go home. That's what Uncle Julius is talking about. He's like, the ones that have a problem, just put them in America. Now, they're exporting thousands of immigrants to America. We just came through this whole immigration fiasco. So now all of a sudden, no, you can't bring your 1,700 or the 500 or 20 or whoever you need to bring back. It's all agendas, people.
Sien met 'n ander ding Christo, hy kan maar terugkom hier stokkies draai toe, dis reg, as hom nie op ons huis. Nee, dit werk nie so. Respectful en nee. Stokkie draai in die kantien en so bly.
Ja, ek maak so, jy staan.
I mean, he's not law enforcement, y'all. This is just a random whoever. I have no idea who I'm talking to. It's like the brother is standing in America, but it's like he's standing in America in 1940, 1950 or something. This is wild. You're in Africa, land of, and this guy has $1 million worth of whiteness, so he can detain you. Let me not preach. Let's go.
Jackson? Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, so that last interaction.
I want to say yes, sir. I'll say yeah. But anyway, let Brother Jackson finish his point.
Action that you just saw with the gentleman that was on the lawnmower. So he pretty much called me over there and said, hey, who are you here with? Now that kind of makes sense, but then he was speaking to me in Afrikaans, so I didn't understand. Now, if I didn't keep my cool and I wasn't a seasoned traveler, I could have got frantic, but I was just saying, sir, I'm here with Mr. Joost and Mr. Frans. They instructed me that I can walk around and get the authentic take on Orania by
Yeah, you just got it.
talking to the people and by doing that. But see, like I was like walking more towards like the neighborhood area. He pretty much told me, like, he said, you know,
Wrong side of town, boy.
we don't want you to get bit by a dog, bit by a loose dog or something like that. Now to me, I could
Uncle, are you the dog?
be wrong, but that's code word for we don't want a hot slug getting put up in you from somebody thinking that you're trespassing. We got to be completely honest. He called Mr. Houston. I heard words like he's respectful, but the guy was basically saying we don't want him back in the neighborhood area. So I did what I could in Orania, guys. Make sure that you hit that like button. Comment down below.
Thank you, Brother Cooper. Get your tail back here now. Now, what did I say? So there you go. That's where the kill the boa. That's what Uncle Lou is calling for. Get these people out of here. Shut this down. What is going on? This doesn't make any sense. We are at a pivotal moment in history for me, where Africa is going to go one way or the other. And I'm loving it because I see the awakening, but at the same time, you know, you see some folks still sleep. There's some scary things, but with, you know, leaders like Julius Malema, like you're seeing a turning of the tide. So we got to get it in gear. We need to take us here in the States, we need to take our eyes off of this place. Not meaning get complacent and not focus on our issues, but you got to make sure your house is secure. There's a reason this is a stage. There's a reason they're trying to build over there slowly. They've been doing it quietly. So we need to blow this up. I was just looking at this and I'm seeing him with the microphone in front of him, myself sitting here with the microphone in front of me. And then, you know, the sister I was able to bring in. We've got our own network going now. And I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's not a coincidence. So we got to get the word out. It's all kind of things going on. Because which, let me not forget that verse I'm going to get. But meanwhile, this is the Congo. When he's talking about Sudan, just below Sudan is the Democratic Republic of Congo. You remember the movie Rwanda? Rwanda was about the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo between the Hutu and the Tutsi. Now, you wouldn't know anything who that is. They're already pushing, I'm not going to go into it here, but they're already pushing white supremacist media that, let me show the article. We're closing right here with this. 600, I think it was 600, Christians decapitated. I got the name of the what's the name? 70. Bye-bye. 70 Christians beheaded in church, what we know. I went into that. It's a lie. How could you confirm that these are Christians? So, but when I got into it, they're saying that one group, some Arab-affiliated group, did it. It was not the Arab-affiliated group. Let me be thorough. Let me see what the name of that group is. I just want to give you the right information. Like I said, we are a network here and we want the right information. We read that 70 decapitated bodies were discovered in a Protestant church in the town of Kasanga. In a Protestant church. That does not mean that they are Christians. In the Lubero territory in the province of North Kivu, toward the end of last week, according to Open Doors. So that's that. That's an AFD. Several other, no group has taken responsibility for the atrocity, but Open Doors and several other organizations, the AFD. So it's an accusation. Let me see if I can do AFD. Let me see something. Let me see if I can find one here. Now I'll type it in. There it is. Allied Democratic Forces is an Islamic group of Ugandan origin, affiliated with the Islamic State, as well as a local armed groups of being responsible for the massacre. These groups have maintained a climate of terror in the region for several months. Now, I went into it, it's not them. It's actually M23. M23 is, I forgot if it was the Tutu or the Hutu. I think it was the Tutu. Sorry, but don't quote me on that. But the M23 is a part of one of those tribes. Long story short, those two tribes were pitted against each other by the white man. They've been fighting ever since. That's just long story short. Really based off of, oh, y'all look more are taller than them. I'm literally telling you the story. Y'all are taller than them, so we're going to side with you. And now that's going to kick off this feud. It's the same thing they've done to us. They do it everywhere. I say that to say it has nothing to do, but they want to push Islam, religion, Christian. It has nothing to do with that. This is about them. They started the whole thing. They've thrown the rock and they're hiding their hand. Okay? So I say that to say that whole conflict, though, is causing where am I at here? Where's my here we go. This. That is not tabernacles. Or is it? Your elders keep talking about being in the wilderness. We're already there. I already told you. The wilderness is now. That is a camp for refugees in Africa. Y'all not ready for no wilderness. Give you a little bit more detail here. World Health Organization is there. So you already know they're handing out their drugs and their demons. So that's what's going on right now. In Africa, while you got these white people down here claiming a genocide. The genocide is right here. 1700. Oh, let's send the money. Oh, I can't believe it. Is this not what it's always been? This is colonialism This is Edom. We'll close it with this. And this is the bombshell to connect it with part 1 of the land, right? Of this Hobe Chocho 2025. Let's get Malachi. Malachi. One, and I think it's verse 4. Wherefore, Edom, who? Edom, who? Edom, the white man, saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. This is where the wisdom is for me. The desolate places doesn't mean they're old inhabitants. Selah. It means abandoned places. You see, remember, construction site abandoned. They're going to be finding places no one has claimed, and then they're going to be building those places up. Orania. Thus saith Ènyé of hosts, they shall build. Come on, but I will throw down. Read, and they shall call them, what are they going to call them? The border of wickedness. The who? The border of wickedness. And the people against whom Ènyé YOOO hath indignation forever. Second bombshell. Border of wickedness. When you look at the word wickedness, and you look at the synonyms, let's see. It says devilry, wickedness, mischief, witchcraft. That's what I'm looking for here. Let me see here. I'm looking for a particular word. I may have to. Here we go. See if I see it here. That evil for me. All right, evil, wicked, bad, wrong. Now I'm going to take it here. Wickedness, Rashad. Evil, guilt, bad, wrong. Making sure you can see that. I type in abomination. Atrocity. Want to connect the dots. Wickedness. There it is. That's all I'm looking for, right? Make sure I got it. Ain't that what I had? Abomination is immorality. There we go. There's a connector. But especially moral. Wrong morally. Immorality. Where'd it go? Immorality. So I'm saying to you, man, that couples with part 1 that said the abomination that maketh desolate. I talked about it being the sodomites, the homosexual agenda they're pushing there. But I submit to you that the abomination that maketh desolate you're looking at them. These are the abomination that maketh desolate. Wherever they show up for me, destruction, wickedness, and immorality follows. These are the people against whom the Lord, Ènyé, YOOO, G4 Vito, the Most High, hath indignation. For how long? Ever. Shalom. Reminding you that the law is love. Shalom. T55.